So today we're going to be going over 5 fresh and uplifting fragrances that make you feel like $1,000,000. A lot of fresher, summertime leaning scents are going to be more playful, more casual, and they don't really smell high-end in that regard. But today we're going to be focusing on some fresher, more uplifting summertime scents that still do have this higher end, expensive, successful guy type of smell. These are something that you would imagine a wealthy businessman wearing out in summertime. You know, it's not going to be your typical Nautica Voyage or Abercrombie & Fitch First Instinct. These have a bit more of a mature type of smell to them and just something that's overall going to be perceived as higher end, more luxurious, even though not all of these are that expensive. We've actually got one niche fragrance in this video and the rest are designers. We have a good range here from one that's a cheapie up to some more expensive higher end scents. So we have a nice mix here with these 5 that we're talking about today. So let's go ahead and jump right into this one. First up, we have Terre d'Hermes Eau Très Fresh. Orange, citruses, and watery notes are going to be some of the main notes in this one. So of course, this is still going to maintain that Terre d'Hermes signature DNA with that orange and that woody facet. However, this one is simply providing a bit more freshness, more focus on the citruses, and adding in a watery touch. Some of you guys out there may smell the original Terre d'Hermes and think that, you know, maybe it's a bit too masculine, a bit too peppery, a bit too strong. Some may say it's a bit too mature. So if you want something that's going to be lighter, more appropriate for summertime, but at the same time still giving you a bit more of a grown-up, well-put-together type of smell, Eau Très Fresh is a great option. It's got a smooth citrus component. It's not nearly as strong and sharp and peppery as the original and some of the others in the line. For sure, one of the easier flankers to get along with from the Terre d'Hermes line. This one is Eau Très Fresh. Moving on to that niche fragrance I was talking about from Roja Parfums, this one is a Vetiver Parfum Cologne. So I couldn't help myself here with this one. This was actually one of the first fragrances that came to mind when I was starting to put this list together. Personally, I'm a huge fan of vetiver fragrances, especially when it's done like this one. Now, I really like the original vetiver by Roja Parfums, you know, the parfum concentration, but the reason why oftentimes I gravitate towards the Parfum Cologne and why I'm featuring it here in this video is because the way this is concentrated, the way this one is composed, it's got a sparkling, bright vibrance about it that the original and the higher concentration doesn't really have. I mean, even smelling this off the atomizer, you pick up on the bright, sparkling other notes in here, along with that nice, soapy clean vetiver. This is one of my favorites. This is so good for work. It's so good if you want to smell put together and high-end and masculine and just like you know what you're doing. It's an extremely versatile scent. I mean, this one can be worn for anything. And because of that fresh, sparkling nature that it has, makes it really nice for the warm weather. And it's one that will definitely have you smelling high-end and smelling like $1,000,000 without having to pay $1,000,000. So you are paying a higher price on this one, but with that higher price does come a high quality product, something that is very smooth, very well blended, very natural, and you get nice presentation from the bottle to the box. If you guys haven't ever owned a Roja or seen the presentation, they are very nice. If you want to grab one of these for yourself, I will link it down below to Twisted Lily. You can use my code CHAOS10 to get 10% off this product and everything else on their website. So that's a nice way for you to get a bit of a discount on this. Whereas if you're buying it directly from Roja, you're going to be paying that full retail plus shipping and tax. So going through Twisted Lily with my code, you can save at least a little bit of money. It makes it a little bit less painful, but trust me guys, if you invest in Roja Parfums Vetiver, you're not going to regret it. Moving along, we have this guy, Dior Homme 2020. Cashmeran, bergamot, pink pepper, and ISO E Super are some of the main notes on this one. So would you be surprised if I told you guys that very, very slowly over time, I've been starting to come around to this one. When I first got this one in, I was not a fan. And a lot of that was because it was a big change. I mean, comparing this to the original Dior Homme is like comparing, you know, apples to oranges. It is just completely different. And while I knew it was going to be different, it was just kind of weird to experience the first time. I'm a big fan of Dior Homme, so it was a shock. And even after that, after I got over the fact that it was extremely different, I still wasn't a big fan of the scent, and it wasn't me just rejecting it just because I didn't, want to like it. I wanted to try to like it because a lot of other people do. I just couldn't get around the heavy cashmere. But I've been working at smelling this one more, wearing this one more, and over time, it's taken a while, but over time, I'm starting to actually like it. At first, the cashmere was just way too strong for me, but I'm starting to come around to that note, I think, because it is being used a lot more in a lot of these new releases we've been getting. It's almost like the next ambroxan. So you get that bergamot and that pink pepper in the opening, giving you a fresh kind of a tart citrus pop and giving you a bit of a spicy kick. And then immediately following is the cashmere, giving you a soft, very modern, woody smell. Also along with the ISOE Super, which is basically doing a similar thing. If I were to describe this in one sentence, I would just say that this is what a modern, well put together man smells like. Like if I were to think of a guy in 2021, what he would be wearing, Dior Homme 2020, admittedly, is one of the first fragrances that would come to mind. I mean, this is the quintessential modern men's fragrance and is completely different than what was coming out 10 or 15 years ago. So while I was against it at first, just because I really couldn't get down with the scent, over time it has come around to me, and if you're in the same boat, maybe the same thing will happen to you. I do believe this one is on discounters now, so you can get it at a bit of a discounted rate off of retail. All of those links will be down below. I always admit to you guys when I started to change my mind on a scent, and I can say that this one is worth at least giving a shot and testing. Really pretty good stuff here. Great modern scent, very high end, and it does smell classy with that nice fresh kick. It's a great fit for this video, and it's going to make you smell like $1,000,000, and you're going to feel like it too. Let's go from one end of the spectrum to another. We had a higher end designer scent that's still going to be probably pushing that, I don't know, $80, $90, $100 mark, depending on what it's at on discounters right now. So let's go to a cheapie. From Zegna, this is Acqua di Bergamoto. Bergamot, citruses, and florals are some of the main notes. Pretty vague, but what you need to know is the first one I said, that is bergamot. This is a tart, vibrant, juicy, and sour bergamot scent. But with that cheaper price tag, does come something that is surprisingly good. It's really hard to mess up a citrus fragrance, especially when it's based around one note like bergamot, which is very common, so I wasn't expecting it to be bad. But on the other hand, there is something about a nice bergamot note, being the forefront in a fragrance, that just gives it like a high-end and expensive smell. At least to me, I could be the only one that thinks this because it's a very common note. But when it's used in ways like this, when it's used in stuff like Xerjoff Neo, these types of fragrances, they just smell high-end and luxurious. Even though this isn't on the quality of Neo and, quite frankly isn't as good, it's this type of thing that gives off the impression of an expensive, high-end, classy-smelling, fresh scent. So if you're on a bit more of a budget for today's video, Acqua di Bergamoto by Zegna is a really nice option. Don't sleep on this one. Even though it is cheaper, it's really good. And last up, we have a fragrance from Yves Saint Laurent from their L'Homme line. This one is L'Homme Le Parfum. Amberwood, ozonic notes, geranium, and violet leaf are some of the main notes. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this one did not have raving reviews when it first came out. I was very late to smelling this one. Actually, just kind of a bit of a digression here, but I ordered this one from overseas as soon as it became available. I spent it was almost $1,000 on a bunch of new releases coming from overseas, just so I could get them in because it takes a while to get those here in the United States. What ended up happening was they shipped it, so the company was legitimate. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to misrepresent them, but they were a legitimate company. They shipped it, but then the package got lost. I mean, it was stuck and lost and wasn't updating for months at a time. I never did get that package. I ended up getting a refund, all that stuff. So it's all good now, and this was back in the beginning of 2020, so it's been a while. So that basically completely ruined me getting this one in to check it out. And ever since then, I just didn't really have any desire to. That whole experience kind of ruined this fragrance for me, where I'm just like, L'Homme Le Parfum, I don't want it. Even though it wasn't L'Homme Le Parfum's fault, it wasn't really the company's fault that I bought it from either. It just got lost. That's all part of doing business, shipping overseas. It was just kind of an ordeal, but it all worked out okay. So anyway, back to this one. Now that I've more recently got this one in, I bought it for a buying guide video, I've come around to really quite enjoy this one. To me, it kind of has similarities to Yves Saint Laurent Y and, the EDT, EDP, that sort of thing. But it also still has this kind of more mature, masculine ginger apple mixture like you get from the original L'Homme. For me, the original L'Homme is all about that ginger and apple combination, smelling like a gentleman's scent, and you get a good dosage of that in this one, but with a bit of amber wood and a bit of bubblegummy sweetness. So it's almost like they took the original L'Homme and just modernized it. You know, the original does have a gentleman's effect to it, not dated at all, in my opinion anyway, but it is not really like a teenager-leaning fragrance for sure. This one, adding some of that modern amber wood aroma chemicals DNA, just kind of makes it ever so slightly a bit more sweet and just more fresh and modern, like I've said a million times. But the more I smell this one though, the more I really like it. And you know, you get that summertime fresh and slightly playful smell from the amber wood and kind of the Yves Saint Laurent Y smells that this one takes on, but you also get this classic gentleman's sexy type of smell out of this one from the apple ginger type of smell, just like from the original L'Homme. It's a great combination. The original L'Homme makes me feel like $1,000,000, and this one does as well. Just a nice little summertime twist. I really, really like this one. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. That was 5 fresh and uplifting fragrances that are going to make you smell and feel like $1,000,000. Remember, if you want to grab any of these for yourself, they will be linked down below to fragrance discounters. And if you want to grab Roja Parfums Vetiver, you can do so at Twisted Lily. Remember to use the code CHAOS10. That code works site-wide on all of their products and samples included. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.